Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm about to do a sew in. That's a frontal sew in. So I'm going to show you how I achieve a very flat sew in. So make sure to watch all the videos so that you will see my process and my technique. So first things, I started by oiling my client's scalp because we don't want dry scalp. Then now I'm just tinting the bow cap. That's like the bow cap. I'm just putting the foundation shade of her color because I want it to match her skin. So I'll just dab the foundation all through the bow cap so it gives an illusion of my client's skin. Then when I'm done, I'll proceed to sewing down the frontal. So this is the frontal. I already plucked. I did the customization already, so we'll just go straight into sewing. Guys, I'm sorry I didn't show the process of how I laid down this frontal, but I'm going to make a video showing you how I lay my frontals. So now I'm just doing the sewing at the back. Before you start sewing your client's frontal, always make sure that your client holds the frontal because you don't want it to move from the position you put, because if the frontal moves, either moving to the back or to the front, it will be difficult for you to lay the frontal to suit your client's face. So always make sure that after the measurement, you let your client hold the frontal firmly where you want them to hold. Then you go to the back and you start sewing in the middle, sewing in the middle from one end. Then you come and you sew the other end. You start from the middle because you want to achieve a very flat sew in on that frontal, because if you start maybe from side to side, your frontal might not be balanced. So to get a balanced look, you want it you want to start sewing from the middle going to one side, then you come to the middle and you finish the other side. So that's how to achieve a very perfect flat frontal sewing. So now I'm just going to sew everything, then I go and I lay the frontal, but I didn't show the process on laying the frontal. So when I'm done, then I'll just go straight to sewing the back, start sewing all my bundles on my client's head. I'm done sewing the front part of my client's head and also laying down the frontal. So now I'm starting with the back, and when starting with the back, I always make sure to double the webs of the bundles because I have 3 bundles and I want to make sure that at least all the 3 bundles fit in my client's head. Since I want all the bundles to get into my client's head, then I'm starting with 2 tracks, especially at the back, because I also want the back to look fuller. Then when I get to the middle, I will continue with 2 tracks. Then when I'm getting to the top of my client's head, if I still have more bundles, I will still go with 2 tracks. Then when I'm almost like on the 2 last lines getting to the front of my client's head, then I'm going to start using single webs. That's because I want it to lay flat in front. That's why I start using single webs, because you know some of the webs, they always come very thick. As you can see, the one I'm using here looks thick. So that's why you always want to use just one web when you get to the front part of the head, because if you double the webs and you start doing the flip over method, it's still going to be very bulky. Unless if you get to the front and you want the front to be full and you think you want to use 2 tracks, then always make sure to cut the bundles before you start on a new line. If you do the flip over method with 2 tracks, like with the 2 webs, it's going to be very thick. and it won't lay flat, and that won't look good. So you know, for sew-ins we always want to achieve a very flat look. That's why when we get to the front, I like to use just one web. Another thing to do when you have very thick webs on your bundles, you can always use your flat iron. Just use your flat iron and run it through the webs so that it can melt some of the thickness of the webs. Then you can then proceed to the sew-in. That method also helps to make the sew-in lay flat, because once the heat melts the webs, it makes the webs a little bit lighter for the sewing. Okay, watch this part attentively. If you notice on this part, you will see that I drop one of the webs and I'm just sewing only on one web. This is because I want to achieve a very flat sewing on the side. So that's why I'm working with just one web. As you can see, I still flip over and I'm using just a single web to sew this on this line, because I want the sides to be really flat. Now that I sewed the side, then you can see I now combine both webs and I start sewing back to continue in the middle. So guys, if you want to achieve a very flat look on the sides, always make sure to drop one of the webs, then you focus only on one web. When you're done sewing the sides, then you can now combine both webs and you continue to sew as you go to the middle. So I'm going to repeat this same method on the next clip. So make sure to watch it so that you can really understand and see what I'm trying to say, so as to achieve a very flat look on the side of the head. Here's what I'm talking about. So just watch closely and see how I achieve a very flat look on the side. As you can see, I'm separating the webs and I'm focusing just on one web. You see, I'm moving the other web from the way and I'm focusing just on one web since I'm already on the side. So I'm just going to sew that one web, then I'm going to flip over just the one web. And when I flip over, then I'm going to sew it down one time. Then when I'm done sewing, I will now proceed with both webs as I continue to sew to the middle. last part of the hair. As you can see, I'm using just a single web. That's because I want the front to lay really flat. So on the last two lines, I use just a single web. And now that I'm done sewing, I just cut the last part of the hair and I'm knotting that end because I want that part to be properly secured. So I'm just going ahead to knot that. And when I'm done knotting, then I'll just go ahead to define my coils. In the process of defining my coils, I'll be using some water, also be spraying in some leave-in conditioner and some coil activator just so I can pop up my coils, and voila, the end result was so amazing. If you love the end result, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe so that whenever I drop a video, you'll be the first to get a notification. See you in my next video. Bye bye. Mm-hmm.